folks, welcome back to Duster Bust. Happy Sunday. Pretty fun stuff today. We're going to be putting on the rear suspension back onto the car. So this is our 1974 Plymouth Duster. We're going to be putting this all back on, including a set of new super stock leaf springs. All right, so sorry, pretty bad echo today. Terrible weather outside, so we got to do it with the door closed. So we're going to go through all of the parts involved to do this job. I'll cover the parts that I had to buy and the cost of them, and then we'll go through the assembly of everything along with the factory recommended torque specs for everything as we go through. All right, as of today, only 12% of viewers are subscribed. So if you find this video helpful or you want to see more content like this, please help me out by hitting subscribe. All right, so let's first go through all of the parts involved. So starting out with our springs. All right, so hopefully you can see this, but I have the old springs here, same part number, and here's our new springs. So these are the Mopar Performance Super Stock ordered off of Summit, and the pair of them with shipping worked out to be right around 300 bucks. So these, they might be okay, but wasn't sure. They look pretty beat. Bushings are toast anyways, so I thought it'd be a good time to upgrade to these super stocks. Now these are handed, so they're just looking at it, you can see a number of differences. So where each of the kind of individual leaves is placed, and just the total stack up, the way that it sits on the ground. One of them sitting higher than the other. This one extends a little bit further out. So these are handed specifically to help improve traction during aggressive driving, aggressive takeoffs. All right, there's a really good video by Uncle Tony looking at adjusting shock air or shock pressure while doing some launches, and you can see the impact on the the fishtail on a hard launch. So it's the same concept here. I'll link that video below, but it's the same concept here of having the different spring tensions to help balance out hard launches. So that's the springs. On the shocks, unfortunately, the shocks that I wanted, so yeah, these are toast. We're not going to reuse these, but I do want to talk about when we get to the point where we would put shocks in. The shocks that I ordered are on back order. It was just a simple KYB adjustable shock is the one that I went with. 35 bucks each. It ended up being 75 bucks through Summit to order a pair of them. So I ordered those, but they are on back order. So I am going to talk through at what point we would install these and what the torque spec is for those. On the super stock springs, they do come with a front bushing, and it is worth noting that using the factory pivot bolt, there is a little bit of play in here. Now there's also a little bit of play in the old one. I did see one comment of somebody on the Summit feedback saying that they made another little bushing for this. I think it'll be fine. I'm just going to use it as is, but I do want to call out that there is a little bit of play in here. And front bushings are included, rears are not. So we need some rear. All right, so had to get some rear bushings. So I ended up just going with some Prothane polyurethane bushings, cheap. I think they were 10 bucks with shipping, and that is 8 of them. So I got 6 here, plus I already assembled 2 of them on the rear bracket. So you get all 8 to do the shackle side. All right, so let's go through and talk about this. All right, our lower brackets, these were in good shape, just cleaned them up, gave them a fresh coat of paint. This is what's going to attach the leaf springs to the rear end. Next, we have our front brackets. So hardware was in good shape, so I'm just reusing this. Again, just quick cleanup. And this is the front end bracket and pivot bolt going to the front of the spring. Next we got our shackles. So these are sitting in the rear, connected to the rear brackets, which connect to the rear end of the car back here, or connect to the frame. Oh, lastly, my U-bolts are a freaking mess. I ordered some new ones. Again, unfortunately, they're not here, so we're gonna use these for today. I was lucky in that most of my brackets and hardware is in good shape. So, not too bad. All right, let's get to it. All right, so these things are pretty heavy, but they're mostly just awkward to work with. But let's build this one up in the right order, and then we will put it on. So starting out, I'm gonna take my new front bushing, put some of this lubricant in it. All right, I'm just gonna rub a little bit of this in here. Then I'm gonna take my pivot bolt. All right, we are building up the right side. All right, put a little bit of grease on here. Just gonna make sure it goes in nice and easy. Yep, that'll be just fine. My bolt needs to face through to the outside. Go ahead and put this on. The other one was very tight. There, that one actually went pretty easy. We're just gonna snug it up for now, just to assemble it. Actually, not even snug. We're just gonna put it together. And we need a 13/16 and a 7/8. It's lubed up, but we can turn it over a few times just to make sure we get our grease mixed in. Or coated, rather. All right. Front ready to go. All right, there we are. Taking two of my bushings, greasing them up, and they are gonna go right in here. And these slide in pretty easy, but they may come out in a minute, so we'll get to that. All right, so those are all the way in. All right, so that one ran out, so I'm just gonna use some super lube here. I think it'll do just fine. Gonna take our rear bracket. Let's push our new bushings in it. This one's a little difficult. All right, so good there. Next, we've got to assemble our shackle. These I'm having a hard time, like my finger doesn't fit in there, and I'm just gonna lube up this shaft, roll it around. It'll be fine. Now the assembly drawing always has it with the nuts towards the outside of the car. So this being the right side, we're working on the rear, we're gonna put it through this way. All right, looks good. Rear mounting bracket, same thing. Okay. All right. Bracket. And two nuts. Just snug. We want it to be free to move. All right. So now it's built up, everything is on but not tight. I went ahead and just put this end in. It's a loose, but at least that'll help me line this thing up. All right, and the stock bolts should be a 9/16. .30 foot-pounds. All right, back is done. again, the shackle bolts are still loose and the pivot bolt is still loose. Let's go to the front. On this side, bolts go through the frame and we got 4 nuts, again 9/16. So let's get these in position. All right, took the car a little higher just so I can get in here. And we're going to torque these 4 down to 30 again. All right, 30. All right, our springs are in. The brackets are torqued into the frame front and back. The pivot is yet to be torqued. And the shackle bolts are yet to be torqued. Next, we're going to bring our rear end in, and this is a 8 1/4, but the 7 1/4 is the same except for the torque spec as far as this doing the springs goes. So we're going to bring that in. We're going to set that on here and put our U-bolts on with our bottom plates. And again, these are handed. So for the driver's side or left side, it's going to go in just like that, and then mirror image on the other side. So we're putting making sure that this pin is in the center hole. So there it hit the first one. We're going to have to straighten that out. So we're just going to... Alright, should be in the center on both sides. Now we can do our U-bolts into this bracket on the bottom side. So you're just going to go right on either side of the leaf spring. A little mix matching hardware, but it'll be alright. Alright, good news. While I was fighting with getting this shit put together, the right U-bolt showed up. So, let's check them out. All right, there we go. Well, let's do it right. Let's take off this crappy hardware and put the good stuff on. Like it was made for it. That's what we're doing. All right, as you can see, the bolts are a bit long, so we're going to trim those down. But first, I wanted to lower it all down, get it all setting so that the weight is on the wheels and the suspension is loaded. So we're going to go ahead now and we're going to torque down our shackles and our pivot bolts, and then we'll go ahead and torque down our U-bolts as well. Hopefully I have a socket that can reach it. If not, we may have to go ahead and cut those and then torque those down. But that is where we're at. So let's keep going. Shackle bolts, 30 foot-pounds. All right, I'm gonna do the other side. All right, so we need a 13/16 open end wrench to hold the back. I don't have one, so I'm going to use this adjustable. And a 7/8 on the nut. And this is going to torque down to 85 foot-pounds. So this one's pretty big. 85. There we go. All right, same on the other side. All right, so springs are torqued down. Still need to torque down our U-bolts, but we're gonna cut those off first. But I wanted to do just a quick check of how it looks. Now the front is jacked up high, but you know, this may be a little high in the back for some people's taste. I kind of like that slightly high back look. And also these are little wheels. So these are the stock 14-inch wheels, and with the tire it's 24.5 inches from the ground to the top of the tire. And let's just take a quick measurement. I am currently sitting at 30 3/4 inch to the fender wall here from the ground, and that's with a 24.5 tire. All right, I am good with that. And if you are gonna adjust it with some blocks or something, you probably don't want to cut off your bolts until you got it all set up, but I'm good with it as is. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut those bolts off just so they don't stick down so much, and then we're gonna torque those up. So time to torque down our U-bolts. There is a difference here. If you have the 7 1/4 rear end, then the spec is 40. We have an 8 1/4, so the spec is 45 foot-pounds. All right, now time to do the other side. Okay, so lastly, I do want to mention, if you do have your shocks available, those are going to span from this bolt here up to this stud up here, and those are going to go on at 50 foot-pounds, both top and bottom. All right, guys, well, that's going to do it for us today. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.